Hi everyone and welcome back to a new episode of the S-Class. I hope all of you are staying safe. I believe that most of you are bored, so this is a great occasion to go and look at the old videos that we shared before. Let's see what today's knowledge pill contains. Coconut. Interesting. Let's get rid of this one. So, coconuts, despite their name, are not actually nuts. They are, at all effects, fruits, although, contrarily to most fruits that we know, they are not composed by a high amount of sugars, but by a high amount of fats. In particular, they are rich in medium-chain triglycerides, which are considered to be very healthy for a different number of reasons, which I will explain. Also, from coconuts, apart from the fresh fruit, we can derive a lot of products which we see today. And this is actually sometimes quite confusing because it's hard to really understand what the difference between them are. So I'm going to show you a few of the products that are derived from coconut and explain what they contain and what the differences are between them. We can start by the products made from the flesh of the coconut. So we have coconut chips, sometimes called coconut shavings. These are the raw ones. They are like this. They are a bit of like big coconut shavings. Then we have desiccated coconut. Even this sometimes we find as coconut shavings. These are small bits of coconut, and this is what they look like. I think you've seen this before. Then we have coconut flour. Now this one is closed. I will show you from another bag. This is practically coconut meat dried and reduced to a very fine powder. This can be used in baking, for example. It's very often used in paleo diets because it replaces wheat flour, and obviously it's gluten-free, so it can be used in a lot of recipes which usually call for normal flour. Then we have these two guys over here, coconut butter and creamed coconut. These two, I would say, are practically the same thing. It's the whole flesh, including the fat part. Let's see if I can show you what it looks like when you dig into it. Obviously, being coconuts made from these types of fat, which I described before, they have a very particular melting point, which is around 24 degrees. This is why coconut oil, for example, which is the pure fat part, which we will see soon, becomes solid in winter, and then in summer it turns into a completely liquid substance. And obviously these products, since they contain a part of the oil, they also undergo these differences. So in winter this is a bit more hard to get out, and this has both the fatty and that sweet and creamy part of the coconut. This one over here is very similar. It's just packed into this shape, and as you can see, the oil has started to separate. This is a natural phenomenon. It happens when the temperatures change, the oil separates a little bit. It's nothing to be worried about. Usually when it doesn't happen, there is some kind of additive which keeps the two parts together. So when this happens, I wouldn't worry. Then, as we said before, we have coconut oil. Coconut oil is simply the fat part, which is derived from the coconut. Now here I'm going to go into a bit more detail because when we buy coconut oil, we find a lot of different claims: virgin, raw, extra virgin, and this is very confusing, I've seen, for most of my customers. So the first distinction that has to be made to describe coconut oil is refined versus unrefined. Refined obviously means that the oil has been treated in some way, usually to remove the coconutty flavor. So in the best case scenario, they use heat and water vapor. In the worst case scenario, there's also the addition of chemicals. The latter usually doesn't occur when the product is organic because these chemicals are not allowed in organic processing of foods. Then we have virgin versus non-virgin. Now, virgin means that the oil is derived from the first press of the coconut. Those who write extra virgin are just using this claim, but there is no legal definition for extra virgin. Extra virgin is used, for example, in olives, where you can press the olives 5 times. and get different types of oil, and therefore the first press is called extra virgin and the second is called virgin. This is not valid for coconuts. There is no extra virgin coconut oil. I really am very close to this and I always like to make it clear. What we also read is sometimes raw. Raw is a nice claim, but even in this case we don't really have a legal meaning to it. It usually means that the coconut has not been treated or heated before pressing. And then we have cold pressed. This means that the coconut has not been pressed in an environment which is warmer than around 49 degrees Celsius. Usually with cold press we imply that the coconut has not been heated in any instance before pressing, but this is not obvious. So it's always better to look for claims like raw and cold pressed at the same time. Apart from cold pressed, we can also have expeller pressed coconut oil. This one usually implies high heat and sometimes acids and water vapor. And then we have centrifuge pressed. This one is the most expensive and also the best way to extract coconut oil, but it's not the most common one. The most common one is in fact cold pressed. In centrifuge extraction, the coconuts are pressed into a paste, the milk is extracted, and then these are put into a centrifuge, which makes the oil come out naturally by spinning. This is, as I said, the best way to extract coconut oil, but you will absolutely see this claimed on the label if this is the case. And as I said before, this will be a bit more expensive than the classic cold pressed coconut oils. As I was saying before, inside coconuts we find these medium chain triglycerides. They are fats which are very quickly absorbed from the liver, and they are known to help, first of all, in being transformed quickly into energy, and secondly, sometimes even for weight loss. In this case, I have an MCT oil, which is derived exactly from coconuts. Practically, they isolate the medium chain fats, and this oil does not harden even below 24 degrees. It remains always liquid, as you can see. This is used often in keto diets and, as I said, in some fat loss diets. When we crack a coconut open, now I don't have one, I have an imaginary one, but when we crack a coconut open, inside we find the coconut water, and I have it here to show you. It looks like this. This one comes in a can, it's organic, and it's a sort of, it's still a watery consistency, a bit milky, and it's really good, it's sweet, and it has a nice coconutty flavor to it. The main property of coconut water is that it is rich in electrolytes, which are fundamental for our hydration. So it is an excellent drink to have in summer, or if you're doing physical activity, and even many times when you have headache and it could be because of a bit of dehydration, coconut water is a very quick solution to many of the classic migraines that we get. And I need to finish this. Next in line is coconut milk. We find a lot of varieties of this, and I have 4 here. So this is an organic one. This is a conventional one in this Tetra Pak container. This is a canned coconut milk. And this is coconut milk powder. I don't think it can get any more confusing than this. All coconut milks are derived from the flesh of the coconut and then mixed with water. What is the difference between them? This one is a drinkable version. So I will show you what it looks like. When you pour it, you always have to mix because the fats tend to separate a little bit. It really looks like milk. It's even the transparency is very similar to milk. It's not sweet. It has a nice fatty consistency and a slight taste of coconut. This is the one that I use the most for recipes where I want to avoid separation. The reason is that this one contains an additive which binds the fat part to the water, which you know that naturally don't combine. You can see that the consistency is much thicker and much whiter. I think that you can see it. So this probably contains a higher percentage of fat compared to this one. And this one as well can be either drunk or used in recipes, as well as this one. It's not that this one cannot, but containing a high percentage of water, it will evaporate in cooking. So I recommend to use a bit of a denser coconut milk for cooking. Then we have coconut milk in a can. Now, this one is mainly used in cooking because when you open it, you will see, especially with this temperature, that it has a nice creamy fat part on the top. If we go in, I won't do it now, but if we go in, we will find a good quantity of water underneath because, as I said before, since it doesn't contain any additives, the oils don't mix with the water and in time they separate. Usually when you want to make, for example, vegan whipped cream, you take this fatty part from the top, and to obtain it, especially in summer, you have to put it in the fridge. As soon as it chills, the fat automatically starts separating and rising. Then we have a product which has come out quite recently, coconut milk powder. This is coconut milk which has been dehydrated, and it can be used in many recipes, especially those that require absence of water. For example, chocolates, because obviously the addition of coconut milk that has water will then cause separation. This also contains a bit of maltodextrin, which is used to avoid the clumping of the product. Then we have, similar to the coconut milk in can, coconut cream. The difference is that this contains around 80% of coconut, whereas the coconut milk contains around 50%. Obviously, this varies from brand to brand, but with coconut cream, we mean a denser product with a higher percentage of fat. Then we have what is known as coconut sugar. This is a product that comes from the flour of the coconut and not from the coconut itself. The consistency and the aspect of it is similar to demerara sugar, for example, or panela. It is brownish and it's a bit bulky compared to cane sugar. The taste is also quite strong. It's a bit licoricey, according to me. It has a bit of a burnt smell. It's pleasant, but it does affect the taste, especially in baking. So I always suggest to buy a little bit and try it before you actually make a whole cake or something important out of it. The good thing of coconut sugar is that it has a lower glycemic index. So it's better for people who have problems with sugar levels in the blood. At the same time, it's also true that it sweetens a bit less than cane sugar. So if you add more to make it sweeter, then you are kind of defeating the purpose of the lower GI. Then, apart from the food products, I decided to show you some other nice things that can be done from coconut. This, for example, is a washing up scraper that is made from the shell. You can see it has this round shape, this round aspect to it, and obviously they carved this sort of pointy edge so that you can use it to scrape pans. And this is also a scrubber for pots and pans, which is plastic free, and this is coconut fiber, which is quite hard. You can feel it when you touch it, so it helps to actually get everything quite clean. I think that's it for today. I thank you very much for watching and have a good one.